From the gate, they will pass across the River Dee and then turn right towards Aberdeen. She'll pass through a number of different villages on the way, and each of them known very well to her because always she made sure while here at the castle she took part in the civic life of Aberdeenshire. The sign for the suggestion that all cars drive very slowly here, which Prince Philip insisted upon because of the red squirrels that were so rare and so beautiful, and really danced about on this drive. We wait now for the Queen to start a journey which will take her through land that her family knew well. She was a Bowes-Lyon through her mother, and the Bowes-Lyons as Earls of Strathmore and Kinghorn, who themselves descended from the Stuart kings and King Robert the Bruce, lived at Glamis Castle, not far from Balmoral. While we wait, the royal family are saying goodbye in Balmoral to a beloved mother and grandmother, and the staff here in Scotland are taking their leave as they hand the monarch and family matriarch after her death back to her nation, to her realms, to the Commonwealth, and to people across the world who have been moved by the ending of a reign of more than 70 years and a life of more than 96. The sun will be illuminating the turrets and spires of Balmoral as the Queen leaves her beloved home. Elizabeth II, by the grace of God of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, Queen, Head of the Commonwealth, Defender of the Faith, Queen of Scots. Now turning down towards Aberdeen. The oak coffin covered with the Royal Standard of Scotland, and while she passed on to the main road, the police had their heads bowed, police who, throughout her life as sovereign, have been responsible for maintaining her security, not least here in her holiday home. And the beauty of Aberdeenshire, the hills that she knew, themselves scattered with memorials to Queen Victoria's time here, to marriages of the royal family, and of course, to the Queen's own jubilees. There are places she went for her picnics with her family, particularly this year, in her declining health. But she had, right to the end, the joy of her family around her, and they have now sent her on her final journey. She's accompanied in the car following the hearse by her daughter, the Princess Royal, with her husband, Admiral Sir Tim Lawrence. And also following is the minister of the kirk where the Queen worshipped regularly at Crathy, just at the point that we saw her pass from our sight. Every week she would go and attend divine service, led by the minister, the Reverend Kevin Mackenzie. Reverend Kenneth Mackenzie was a great orator and gave the most wonderful sermons, and was often asked back for a drink with the Queen so she could talk about it, and particularly with the Duke of Edinburgh, all part of the life of this community here in Aberdeenshire, of which there are so many. The Dee Valley is where farmland juxtaposes beside the wildness of the heather and rocks of the mountains of Aberdeenshire. And quite quickly, as the convoy moves to the east, the hills give way to shallow hills and finally come to the sea. But the Dee, which is a thread all the way through this valley, has always been part of the life of Balmoral. And the farmland here where the Queen's cattle have grazed. She heads towards Abergeldy Castle, which was still used by the royal family when she was very young. Just see it there at the bottom of the picture. And part of the neighbouring estate of Balmoral Castle. Looking westward towards the hills of Invercold, and again, the family that used to live at Invercold were close friends of the Queen and Prince Philip, and would also worship quite regularly at Crathy Kirk. From the rooms that the Queen occupied on the first floor of Balmoral Castle, and where she daily attended to the red boxes of state papers that were sent to her from the realms and from the Commonwealth, the Queen could always glance out of the window at her horses. There were always horses for Her Majesty to enjoy. She knew all their names. She bred plenty of them, particularly up here, the hill ponies, that she cared so much about, and regularly went down to check how they were getting on. It's not a great distance to Balmoral, the first town close to Balmoral. And it was at Balmoral where, until the 60s, the railway line used to come, and it was to Balmoral station that the royal family came by train to start their holidays. And so Balmoral has always been important to the royal family. And here is where the Royal Guard, who have just presented on behalf of the armed forces the first salute to the late sovereign on this journey.